In 1996, Set It Off showed us fearless faces burning with anger, hope, and desperation. But nearly 3 decades later, time rewrote every one of those faces. Aging, broken marriage, and unexpected death rewrote their stories. Let's find out how the cast really looks in 2025. Queen Latifah as Cleo Sims. Queen Latifah was born on March 18, 1970, in Newark, New Jersey. At 26, Queen Latifah played Cleo Sims, the fearless, volatile leader, in Set It Off, 1996. The performance made her a cultural icon overnight. The cost arrived soon after. In 1992, the death of her brother Lancelot Owens Jr. in a motorcycle accident shattered her emotional stability, triggering depression and significant weight gain she later linked to grief. As fame grew, lawsuits within her flavor unit company created business tension and financial stress during the late 1990s. Public strength masked private mourning that never fully faded. Her personal life remained guarded until she acknowledged her long-term relationship with Ebony Nichols, beginning in 2013. The revelation brought relief and backlash as she faced public scrutiny and homophobic criticism while choosing honesty over silence. In the same period, Chicago earned her an Oscar nomination, proving pain and excellence coexisted. Today, Queen Latifah is 55 years old and continues leading television through The Equalizer while producing major projects. Her estimated net worth of around $70 million reflects decades of reinvention. Jada Pinkett Smith as Stoney Newsome. Jada Pinkett Smith was born September 18, 1971, in Baltimore, Maryland. At 25, Jada Pinkett Smith played Stoney Newsome, the grieving sister pulled into crime, in Set It Off, 1996. The film premiered in 1996, becoming her emotional breakthrough. That performance mirrored more truth than audiences realized. Her marriage to Will Smith, which began in 1997, slowly fractured under fame, secrecy, and emotional exhaustion. The 2020 revelation of her relationship with August Alsina exposed that the couple had been separated for years, turning private pain into global spectacle. By her own admission, they had lived apart since 2016, a detail unknown to the public for nearly 4 years. Career success offered no refuge. Despite worldwide recognition from The Matrix Reloaded, 2003, which grossed over $739 million globally, Jada battled depression and addiction earlier in life. Later, alopecia areata, an autoimmune disease, caused visible hair loss and relentless scrutiny, transforming a medical condition into an international controversy. Now, Jada Pinkett Smith is 54 years old, focusing on producing, writing, and high-level media projects rather than constant acting. With an estimated net worth of about $50 million, her legacy shaped by love tested in public, illness lived in the open, and a career forged through emotional exposure. Ella Joyce as Detective Waller. Ella Joyce was born on June 12, 1954, in Chicago, Illinois. At 42, Ella Joyce played Detective Waller, the restrained, watchful investigator, in Set It Off, 1996. The role placed her inside a story about pressure, consequence, and quiet authority. It arrived at a moment when her own life was already under strain. Her marriage to actor Dan Martin, whom she wed in 1989, was tested repeatedly by instability and exhaustion. As auditions dried up in the mid-1990s, financial pressure crept into their home, creating emotional distance and unspoken resentment. Joyce later admitted that long separations and constant uncertainty forced them to relearn how to stay connected while both careers pulled in different directions. During this same period, household income reportedly dropped sharply, pushing Joyce to teach multiple fitness classes each week just to cover basic expenses. Professionally, the pain was sharper. Despite acclaim from Rock and an NAACP Image Award nomination, steady work vanished for long stretches. She endured prolonged unemployment, mounting bills, and chronic stress that quietly eroded her confidence. Between 1995 and 1998, she appeared in fewer than 3 on-screen projects, a dramatic drop for an actress coming off network television success. Now, Ella Joyce is 71 years old and continues acting, writing, and mentoring younger performers. She remains active in independent film and stage projects while teaching performance workshops. Her estimated net worth of around $2 million reflects decades of endurance rather than comfort, earned through persistence, not protection. Vivica A. Fox, as Frankie Sutton. Vivica A. Fox was born on July 30, 1964, in South Bend, Indiana. At 32, Vivica A. Fox played Frankie Sutton, the ambitious, emotionally guarded bank employee, in Set It Off, 1996. The role arrived at the peak of her breakout year. It also marked the beginning of intense personal and professional backlash. Her marriage to singer Christopher 6ix9ine Harvest collapsed publicly between 1998 and 2002 after revelations of infidelity and her highly publicized involvement with rapper 50 Cent. The scandal dominated tabloids, turning her private pain into spectacle and leaving her isolated and humiliated. Fox later admitted the divorce triggered deep loneliness and depressive episodes she hid behind a confident public image. During that period, she canceled multiple projects while retreating from media appearances. Professionally, success became a double-edged sword. After Independence Day and Set It Off, Hollywood scrutiny intensified. Her appearance, age, and race became targets, leading to fewer leading roles in the early 2000s. Between 2004 and 2009, her film roles declined sharply in box office scale, forcing her to accept lower-budget projects and television movies to maintain financial stability. In 2025, Vivica A. Fox is 61 years old and continues working as an actress, producer, and director. She remains active in television films and behind-the-camera projects while living independently. Her estimated net worth of around $3 million reflects survival through reinvention, not uninterrupted success. Kimberly Elise as T.T. Williams. Kimberly Elise was born on April 17, 1967, in Minneapolis, Minnesota. At 29, Kimberly Elise played T.T. Williams, the most emotionally fragile member of the group, in Set It Off, 1996. The role launched her career through pain rather than glamour. It mirrored a life shaped by loss soon after. Her marriage to Maurice Oldham ended in divorce in 2005, but the deeper tragedy came 2 years later, when he died suddenly from a massive blood clot in 2007. Elise was left to raise 2 daughters alone, carrying grief without closure, while financial and emotional responsibility fell entirely on her. She later admitted that widowhood reshaped her priorities and permanently altered her sense of security. Professionally, momentum came slowly. Despite critical acclaim in Beloved and John Q., Hollywood hesitation and limited roles for Black dramatic actresses delayed her rise. She poured pain into performances like Woman Thou Art Loosed, earning an Independent Spirit Award nomination, while managing exhaustion and emotional burnout behind the scenes. Now, Kimberly Elise is 58 years old and remains active in film and television, choosing selective roles while focusing on family and advocacy. Her estimated net worth of around $2 million reflects a career built on emotional depth rather than commercial excess. John C. McGinley, as Detective Strode. John C. McGinley was born on August 3, 1959, in New York City. At 37, John C. McGinley played Detective Strode, a hard-edged, relentless authority figure, in Set It Off, 1996. The role mirrored his growing screen persona, sharp, intense, and unforgiving. Off-camera, his life was about to fracture. His first marriage to Lauren Lambert collapsed under devastating pressure after the birth of their son Max, who was diagnosed with Down syndrome in 1997. Endless medical decisions, emotional fear, and financial strain consumed the household, leaving little room for stability. The marriage ended in divorce in 2001 after 4 years, with McGinley later admitting that nearly all his income during that period went toward medical care and family support. Career success offered no shelter. While Scrubs made him famous, McGinley became trapped in angry, abrasive roles, leading to creative frustration and periods of depression. Between 2001 and 2010, he appeared in over 180 episodes of Scrubs, a workload that brought visibility but deepened typecasting. He later described this era as professionally successful but emotionally draining. Today, John C. McGinley is 66 years old, still acting and actively working with Down syndrome and disability organizations. He continues to appear in television, voice work, and stage projects while serving on multiple advocacy boards. His estimated net worth of $10 million stands alongside a harder truth. His greatest work was done off-screen, inside a life shaped by responsibility, loss, and resilience. Charlie Robinson as Nate Andrews. Charlie Robinson was born on November 9, 1945, in Austin, Texas. At 51, Charlie Robinson played Nate Andrews, the weary, street-seasoned authority figure in Set It Off, 1996. The role came late in his career, after decades of instability and reinvention. By then, the weight of survival was already etched into his performances. His marriage life was turbulent and deeply private. Robinson divorced his first wife after years of conflict driven by financial insecurity and constant relocation, then remarried amid prolonged property disputes that drained both money and trust. The emotional toll intensified as he struggled to provide stability. During the 1980s, legal and domestic stress coincided with the early night court years, when he was working up to 22 episodes per season just to stay afloat. Professionally, fame never meant safety. Although Night Court ran for 9 seasons, 1984 to 1992, and earned him an NAACP Image Award nomination, work slowed dramatically afterward, forcing him back into guest roles and theater. Health declined quietly in his later years as metastatic prostate cancer weakened his body while recurrent infections left him hospitalized multiple times between 2019 and 2021. In 2013, he returned to the stage as Willie Loman in Death of a Salesman. Sadly, Charlie Robinson died at 75 on July 11, 2021, at Ronald Reagan UCLA Medical Center from cardiac arrest and multi-organ failure caused by septic shock linked to metastatic cancer. His estimated net worth of $1 million reflected a lifetime of steady work. Thomas Jefferson Byrd as Luther. Thomas Jefferson Byrd was born on June 25, 1950, in Griffin, Georgia. At 46, Thomas Jefferson Byrd played Luther, a tense, unpredictable criminal presence, in Set It Off, 1996. The role mirrored the edge he often carried on screen. Off-screen, his life was far lonelier. Byrd's marriage to Victoria ended in divorce, leaving him to raise 4 children while navigating an industry that rarely rewarded stage actors. The separation pushed him into isolation, compounded by long periods away from home and the emotional strain of single parenthood. By the late 2000s, he spoke openly about depression and the quiet shame of feeling invisible despite critical acclaim. His career was respected, but never secure. Despite a Tony Award nomination for Ma Rainey's Black Bottom and frequent collaborations with Spike Lee in films like Clockers and Bamboozled, Byrd often relied on teaching and regional theater to survive. Between 1997 and 2010, more than half of his income reportedly came from stage work rather than film, which that wore him down physically and emotionally. Finally, Thomas Jefferson Byrd was killed at 70 on October 3, 2020, shot multiple times in the back during a late-night robbery in Atlanta at approximately 1:45 a.m. His death stunned the theater community, and the investigation lasted years before partial justice was reached. At the time of his death, his estimated net worth of $1 million stood as a quiet testament to a life devoted to art, not protection. Chip Fields as Darnell's mom. Chip Fields was born on August 5, 1951, in Los Angeles, California. At 45, Chip Fields played Darnell's mother, a brief but emotionally grounded presence in Set It Off, 1996. The role came during a period when her acting visibility was already fading. Behind the scenes, her personal life carried far heavier weight. Her first marriage to John Randolph ended in divorce after years marked by domestic violence and emotional control, a trauma she later admitted shaped her silence for decades. Left to raise her daughters Kim Fields and Alexis Fields largely on her own, she faced relentless financial pressure while watching Hollywood elevate younger faces. Single motherhood collided with industry sexism, forcing her to choose survival over ambition at a time when opportunities for Black women were shrinking fast. Professionally, the 1980s were punishing. Despite recognition from Good Times and later living single, she was typecast into secondary maternal roles, leading to long periods of unemployment and depression. During this stretch, she appeared in fewer than a handful of credited screen roles per year, pushing her to pivot behind the camera. Chronic stress and lingering joint pain from years of dance training compounded her mental health struggles, even as she quietly retrained as a director. Now, Chip Fields is 74 years old and works primarily as a television director and producer, having helmed episodes of Martin, Living Single, The Parkers, and House of Pain. Her estimated net worth of around $1 million reflects reinvention rather than reward. Blair Underwood as Keith Weston. Blair Underwood was born on August 25, 1964, in Tacoma, Washington. At 32, Blair Underwood played Keith Weston, the supportive yet conflicted romantic partner, in Set It Off, 1996. The role reinforced his status as a leading man. Off-screen, stability proved far more elusive. His marriage to Desiree DaCosta, which began in 1989, unraveled by 2000 amid emotional distance and prolonged custody disputes. The divorce became a quiet but painful rupture, intensified by public expectations of perfection and later rumors of infidelity. Years later, renewed scrutiny followed his remarriage to Josie Hart in 2023, reopening old wounds and media speculation he had tried to leave behind. Professionally, pressure mounted as consistency slipped. Despite acclaim from L.A., law, and later prestige projects, several television ventures failed abruptly, including City of Angels and Ironside, leaving gaps in momentum. Between 2000 and 2010, multiple series cancellations forced Underwood into constant reinvention, producing stress and uncertainty despite award recognition. Today, Blair Underwood is 61 years old and remains active across film, television, and theater. He balances acting with producing and philanthropic work. His estimated net worth of around $8 million reflects longevity built on adaptation, not ease. Dr. Dre as Black Sam. Dr. Dre was born on February 18, 1965, in Compton, California. At 31, Dr. Dre played Black Sam, the intimidating street broker pulling invisible strings, in Set It Off, 1996. The role reflected his public image at the time: powerful, feared, untouchable. Behind that image, his private life was unraveling. His marriage to Nicole Young began in 1996 and slowly collapsed under extreme pressure, control battles, and years of legal warfare. By the time she filed for divorce in 2020, the conflict had escalated into one of the most expensive celebrity separations in history, ending in a reported $100 million settlement finalized in 2021. Court filings, restraining order claims, and nonstop media scrutiny pushed Dre into prolonged emotional stress, while the divorce drained years of focus and stability. Besides, success came with darkness. Despite legendary albums like The Chronic and 2001, Dre faced lawsuits, public accusations of violence, and internal battles with substance abuse during the 1990s that nearly derailed his career. In January 2021, his body finally gave warning. He was hospitalized for a brain aneurysm, later revealing he had suffered multiple strokes, forcing him into isolation and long-term recovery. Even as he produced Grammy-winning work, his health and reputation carried permanent scars. Today, Dr. Dre is 60 years old, continuing to oversee music, production, and business ventures while living more privately. His estimated net worth of around $850 million stands in stark contrast to the personal cost behind it. Salli Richardson-Whitfield as Shade. Salli Richardson-Whitfield was born on November 23, 1967, in Chicago, Illinois. At 29, Salli Richardson-Whitfield played Shade, the sharp-tongued, street-aware accomplice, in Set It Off, 1996. The role came at a moment when her screen presence was rising fast. Privately, pressure was already building. Her marriage to actor Dondre Whitfield, which began in 2002, was tested by rumors of infidelity that quietly shook their foundation. The strain unfolded away from cameras, forcing both to confront trust, public silence, and emotional repair while raising two children. Salli later admitted that holding the marriage together required confronting fear of loss rather than image. During this period, she also experienced postpartum depression, a battle she fought largely alone. Besides, the transition from actress to director was far from smooth. Several early directing pitches were rejected, and projects stalled despite her reputation from Eureka and I Am Legend. Between 2013 and 2016, she faced repeated setbacks while trying to be taken seriously behind the camera, even as she quietly built credits on shows like Queen Sugar and Scandal. The pivot demanded resilience more than visibility. In 2025, Salli Richardson-Whitfield is 58 years old and works primarily as a high-demand television director and executive producer. Her estimated net worth of around $2 million reflects a career rebuilt through persistence, survival, and reinvention rather than ease. W.C. as Darnell. W.C., born February 3, 1970, in Los Angeles, California. At 26, W.C. played Darnell, the explosive boyfriend whose rage fuels tragedy, in Set It Off, 1996. The film was released in 1996 at the exact moment his rap career was peaking. That crossover masked a life already spiraling. His marriage collapsed under relentless pressure, driven by non-stop touring, financial instability, and the emotional spillover of Compton's gang culture into his home. W.C. later admitted that success amplified conflict instead of saving the relationship, ending in a painful divorce that left him isolated. During this same period, West Side Connection performed over 80 shows in 1 year, keeping him away from home for months at a time. Career momentum came in violent waves. Bow Down, 1996, hit number 2 on the Billboard 200 and went platinum within months. Yet internal feuds, substance abuse, and label politics stalled his solo rise. While peers evolved quickly, W.C. released only 4 solo albums across more than a decade. Today, W.C. is 55 years old, living a quieter life as a mentor and occasional industry consultant while recording music privately. His estimated net worth of around $2 million reflects survival rather than excess. Chaz Lamar Shepard as Stevie Newsom. Chaz Lamar Shepard was born on October 26, 1977, in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. At 19, Chaz Lamar Shepard played Stevie Newsom, the younger brother whose death ignites the tragedy, in Set It Off, 1996. The film was released in 1996, marking one of his earliest dramatic film appearances. That brief role became the emotional hinge of the entire story and quietly changed the direction of his career. After Set It Off, Chaz faced a slow and frustrating climb rather than a breakout. His career drifted into supporting television roles, most notably Seventh Heaven, 1996 to 2001, where long-running visibility still failed to translate into lasting power or leading status. The industry's shift away from young black male actors left him auditioning constantly, working sporadically, and questioning his place despite proven talent and steady professionalism. Even respected work like The Temptations, 1998, and later Luke Cage, 2018, arrived as moments of validation rather than true recovery. Today, Chaz Lamar Shepard is 48 years old and continues working selectively in television, theater, and music, choosing stability over visibility. His estimated net worth of around $1 million reflects a career defined not by collapse, but by quiet endurance, marked by early impact, long silences, and the emotional cost of surviving an industry that moved on too quickly. Anna Maria Horsford as Ms. Wells. Anna Maria Horsford was born on March 6, 1948, in Harlem, New York City. At 48, Anna Maria Horsford played Ms. Wells, the quiet, morally torn authority figure, in Set It Off, 1996. The film was released in 1996, marking her shift from comedy fame into darker dramatic territory. That transition carried unseen personal cost. Behind the scenes, marriage never became her refuge. Horsford chose to remain unmarried, later admitting that long-running sitcom fame and relentless schedules made emotional stability nearly impossible. During the same decade, Amen aired 102 episodes, locking her into a public image that limited serious film opportunities and strained private relationships. Career reinvention came with resistance. While audiences still saw comedy, she fought to be taken seriously in dramas like The Shield and The Bold and the Beautiful, where she earned 2 Daytime Emmy nominations between 2016 and 2017. The struggle to escape typecasting left long gaps in film work, forcing her to rebuild relevance well into her 60s. Now, Anna Maria Horsford is 77 years old, still working steadily in television while advocating for Caribbean cultural heritage. With an estimated net worth of around $1 million, her legacy reflects endurance, quiet strength carved from decades of being underestimated. Samuel Monroe Jr. as Lawrence. Samuel Monroe Jr. was born on November 28, 1973, in Los Angeles, California. At 23, Samuel Monroe Jr. played Lawrence, the volatile trigger of betrayal and violence, in Set It Off, 1996. The film premiered in 1996, placing him firmly in the era's raw urban cinema. Fame arrived fast, stability did not. Marriage to Shauna Stewart struggled under the weight of industry chaos and financial unpredictability. Monroe acknowledged that inconsistent acting work and survival-driven decisions eroded trust, forcing him to juggle family responsibility with constant reinvention. Career momentum slowed as Hollywood shifted away from street-centered narratives. Despite strong performances in Menace to Society, The Players Club, and Tales from the Hood, roles became scarce, pushing him toward independent production. His series The Halls emerged from this decline, reflecting first-hand exposure to systemic failure rather than commercial success. In 2025, Samuel Monroe Jr. is 52 years old, working as an independent creator, writer, and mentor outside mainstream Hollywood. His estimated net worth of about $2 million stands not as blockbuster wealth, but as proof of survival after obscurity, industry abandonment, and personal sacrifice. They risked everything on screen, but time had its own plans for them. Fame, heartbreak, survival, and quiet comebacks shaped each life in ways few fans ever imagined. Which transformation shocked you the most, and whose story deserves a deeper look next? Leave a comment, subscribe, and join us for the next untold Hollywood story.